Hello and welcome to everyone. Welcome to this talk. This talk is going to be about the chart of the full moon. The full moon will occur in Aquarius on the 9th of August at 7:56 in the morning, which is universal time. So once again, according to your location, work out what time it will be, because it is quite a significant event with all the configurations that you can see on this chart, which is on my right, so it is on your left, naturally. Now, you see, the moon is here at 17 degrees in Aquarius, and across is the sun at 17 degrees in Leo. So that means that the emotions that are represented by the moon will be quite strong and may influence the way we deal with situations in which we will find ourselves during this period. So it is a short period. It only lasts for about 2.5 days. That's the time that the moon takes to transit a full sign. And before it creates that full moon, it will create a conjunction with Pluto, which I have analyzed in the previous reading that I made about the new moon that occurred in Leo. So if you're interested, just watch this segment, because it may be relevant to what I'm going to say about this full moon chart. Now, the moon forms a discordance here. It is this red line with Vesta and the black moon. Now, the black moon represents what we don't know or don't want to know, what we hide as well, But there is a kind of ambiguity surrounding a certain area of your life. So it's for you to decide what it is and where it is operating so that you can deal with it, because Vesta next to the black moon indicates that your general well-being, your the feeling of being in harmony with your life and balanced, is sort of questioned by this black moon. So if this dark zone in your life is not understood and not dealt with, you will feel quite destabilized and unsure of yourself, and of course unsure of other people as well, because this position of the sun is also, of course, forming the same aspect with Vesta and the black moon. Luckily, the black moon and Vesta are forming a very nice configuration with this conjunction here between Venus and Jupiter. And that will protect us. It will protect you, it will protect me. It may protect more, perhaps, people born under this sign, Cancer, and under the other sign involved, which is Scorpio. It's possible. But we all have something in those signs. It may be a planet, maybe something else, an element, or a house. And that's where actually the energy, the positive energy of this configuration is going to act. But it will act in a much better manner if the dark zone represented by the black moon is dealt with once again. So these are the aspects that will dominate this period. And that means that it is representative of what you need to actually understand and then maybe dissipate, shedding light on it so that you can share also with other people what that black moon represents, the dark zone somewhere in your life. Is it represented by somebody or some area of your life, maybe both? So that is for you to decide, and it is for you then to act accordingly. But remember that the full moon tends to enhance our vulnerability to emotional stress. So we may not be as efficient to deal with emotions. And the sun, which is right across naturally, represents our physical self, our vital force, vital energy. And somehow it may be less easy to deal with our own health because of this tendency that we may find to make things more important and more troublesome than they may actually be if we are objective about what happens. So objectivity and subjectivity are going to cohabit, but not in the best possible manner, unfortunately. But there will be a potential to make things a lot better. Jupiter and Venus are here to show that they're in harmony with Vesta and the black moon, as we've said earlier on, but they form what we call an inconjunct here with the moon. So that means that the inconjunct represents what we may doubt, what we may maybe fear as well. So love is represented by Venus. Jupiter will enhance our need for love and our potential to obtain, well, most probably some nice returns thanks to the way we're going to express our feelings. But because of the inconjunct with the moon, we may tend to wonder if what we feel is really what we feel, or if it is out of a strong emotion that we may have due to circumstances that may involve someone toward whom we may develop some kind of feeling just because the person's situation is what it is, and it's going to make us somehow quite sensitive to the situation of this person. But it could be something else. It may have something to do with the way you deal with the good things in life. We need to allow ourselves, to benefit from the good things of life, because it is there to bring a solution and to shed that light and to make things much clearer. But maybe clearer is brighter and maybe too bright for your own eyes. Your eyes are represented by the sun and the moon. Your vision of life is represented also by these two elements, major ones, actually. Now, with the other charts that I'm going to show you, I've only drawn the aspect involving the moon and the other elements. So let's have a look. On the 10th of August at 8 in the morning, once again, the moon enters this sign, Pisces. And when it does, it creates a discordance here with Uranus. It creates an inconjunct with Mars. It creates another inconjunct with Mercury. And it creates a false sextile with Chiron. So what does it mean on the 10th of August? It means that, first of all, because the moon transits in Pisces, we are going to be much more sensitive, more intuitive as well. But intuition may not be actually what we should concentrate on. We should concentrate on what is rational. And Mars and Mercury, in conjunct with the Moon, show how much we're going to hesitate. There is something that we need to do, and we know we have to do it. We have to decide and do it. It's in our brains, we think about it, we even perhaps talk about it. And that's Mercury, the messenger of the gods, that helps us, express ourselves. But saying, I have to do this, I must do this, is very different to I do it now. And doing is represented by Mars, which is actually ambiguous because Mars and Mercury are forming here a sextile. So they should give us the ability to actually do what we say we're going to do and not wait. But on that particular day and time, it seems that emotionally we are not going to be really ready to act as we say. So we may prefer to postpone and wait until maybe it becomes clearer to us that we can act and move forward. There is that discordance with Uranus as well. So that is going to make us nervous. It could even indicate a change, a sudden change in our life that will, of course, trigger that necessity to actually act or react quickly. But if we don't, we're going to be, to feel quite destabilized. And the event may be triggered by someone around us, a reaction that the person may have, or an incident, anything that can disturb your peace of mind and make you feel stressed, emotionally stressed, would, of course, interfere with your well-being. So on that morning of the 10th of August, I'd say try to take it easy and don't get involved into anything that could make you nervous and maybe electrical, impatient and so on. So I'd say on the 10th of August in the morning, don't do anything. Just wait. Wait for a better time, a better moment, a moment where you will be more efficient at, acting as you should be acting to deal with whatever situation there is then. After that, the moon will join the North Lunar Node. On the 11th of August at 5 in the afternoon, once again it's universal time, and don't forget that, the moon reaches the position of the North Lunar Node. Therefore, it triggers the energy of the North Lunar Node, which represents that to which we should be tending to go in this life. So, where do you intend to go? Is there a place, is there an objective, a goal that you've set for yourself? Whatever it is, you will have to deal with the South Lunar Node, which is right across. And the South Lunar Node represents that from which you should actually accept to detach yourself from. And that will make your existential vehicle much lighter. And because it is in Virgo, this South Lunar Node, it represents all earthly matters. Whereas Pisces, which is across, is linked to the spiritual dimension of life. And if you want to elevate yourself, to be more into that spiritual energy, you'll have to let go of so many worries that stem from the earthly matters of our life. And if you do that, you will benefit from this and this. So this is interesting because it represents what I've explained earlier about the dark zone and so on. Now, making sure that you understand what that dark zone is, making sure that you shed light on it, as I said earlier on, that you therefore can, express it, show it, explain it, share it, and so on. Then you stabilize, you restore stabilization in your life, harmony and well-being represented by Vesta. And in that you will be helped by this conjunction. Venus-Jupiter in Cancer, which is most probably going to serve people born under this sign very much. And also Pisces-born people, and also Scorpios, because it's not drawn here, but there is a trine here involving this conjunction with this one. So that day, the 11th of August, around 5 in the afternoon, is most probably going to be quite memorable. But it will be if you decide that it must be. Therefore, when you decide that you will go toward that north lunar node, that you will reach your goal, whatever happens and whatever it takes to reach it. So once you deal with the earthly matters, and various responsibilities that you'll probably decide to drop, to forget about, to abandon, you need to make sure that you feel lighter. And it's not in a bad manner, in a bad way. It is because feeling lighter will make you or allow you to get through wherever you want to go more safely and more light. Being lighter will help you faster reach your goal. But there is an inconjunct with the sun. And the sun represents who you are in society and how you want to show off, how you present yourself. It is your image de marque, as we say in French. So that energy of the sun in Leo is very strong because it represents your ego. And we all need to have an ego, of course, because it helps us impose ourselves and show how good we are and what we can achieve and so on. But the inconjunct represents the potential doubt that we may have in our own self, in our own potentials. And if that's the case, unfortunately, Venus and Jupiter that represent a very incredible kind of opportunity that may help you progress in life and succeed to a level that you may not have known or experienced since you were born. It is possible. Thanks to Vesta and the Black Moon, once you understand what that dark zone is, you can move forward and you can achieve great results. And that's what you must keep in your mind. And despite the inconjunct, keep on going. Keep on going, because after that, the moon is going to reach Saturn and Neptune. This book about astral travel, which I have practiced a lot many years ago, I relate in this book how it happened and what happened to me, and also how to actually astral travel yourself. So there are exercises to do, breathing exercises, meditation, relaxation, and so on. And I explain step by step how you can achieve astral travel. It is an incredible experience. Anyway, I'm here to talk about the moon, right? So let's get on with the next transit of the moon when it reaches Saturn and Neptune. Here it is. The 12th of August at 1 p.m. Universal Time, the moon reaches Saturn and Neptune. All right. It's in between. And it triggers both the energies of Saturn and Neptune. But it also triggers the energy of Mars, which is right across. So Mars represents our ability to act, react, fight for what we want, defend ourselves, and so on. So it is going to be triggered, and it is going to become very strong. Luckily, Mars forms a very good here configuration with Mercury. Mercury is our brains, our intellect, and Mars is action. So as I explained earlier on, this configuration shows that we may very well be able to do as we say. So we are not going to be into a procrastination type of situation. We're going to act according to what we want and according to what the situation requires from us. Besides, on the preceding day, Mercury will not be retrograde anymore. So it is starting in direct motion. Therefore, it's being much stronger, and it will help us deal with what was difficult to deal with due to communication problems before. So when Mercury starts to move forward again, being in harmony with Mars, suddenly on that particular day, and even on the 11th of August, suddenly we can actually act according to what we think is the best and what we were perhaps expecting or waiting for, because during the retrogradation of Mercury, many things that we are expecting may take longer to reach us. And Mars is in harmony with Pluto as well. That is a very strong aspect. Pluto, which is actually in harmony with the moon, therefore also in harmony with Saturn and Neptune, indicates how much we can regenerate ourselves and, by extension, our life. It will be a great moment, a great day, and a great time to make the right decision. And that right decision will begin in our brains naturally, which is represented by Mercury. And as soon as we decide, if we act according to what we've decided, then Mars is going to be triggered, then Pluto is going to be triggered, then Uranus is going to be triggered, because as you can see, Uranus is also in harmony with this conjunction, and it is in harmony with Pluto, and it is in harmony with Mars, which is in harmony with Pluto. So we have here a great triangle, an air triangle, which is a communication triangle, intellectual triangle, plus action through the sign of Aries, which is represented by Mars. So I've already said that the 11th of August could be a very interesting day, but the 12th of August also is going to be a very interesting day. This conjunction here between Saturn and Neptune is very rare in the sign. It is very rare in general, because Saturn takes 29.5 years to revolve around the zodiac, and Neptune 165 years. So for the two to meet there in Aries is something extremely rare. And when the moon reaches this conjunction, it's going to trigger the energy of it. And Neptune represents our dreams and Saturn represents reality. It represents what we can do, maybe physically or otherwise, rationally at least, to realize a dream, to make a dream come true, or to realize some sort of ideal situation. And thanks to the other aspects and configurations that I've explained, the potential to achieve something great will be extremely strong. Saturn and Neptune are going to retrograde. As you can see, they are both retrograde in this chart. And they're going to move back in Pisces for a while, and then they'll come back in Aries, forming a conjunction, which will be an exact conjunction, on the 20th of February, 2026. So when the moon reaches that second conjunction, that is going to be perhaps very representative of what you achieve, what you get from what you're going to do on the 12th of August this year. So it may take until the late February, 2026, but it's really worth it. So get into it, act and do what needs to be done, because you are very likely to obtain extremely good results. The same applies to everyone, not only to you, or not only to Aries-born people, or Aquarius, or Geminis, or Leos, or even Libras. No, everyone is going to be concerned and privileged by this type of configuration. But of course, it's the manner in which you deal with that situation astrologically, and then in your life, that will make the difference. So some people are going to really obtain, fantastic results, and others will just feel better, which is perhaps good enough. It all depends on what everyone wants, and we're all different. So anyway, the next transit is, of course, when this moon reaches Chiron. Let's have a look at that. It will happen on the 14th of August, 8 a.m. The moon reaches Chiron. Chiron represents health, all right? I repeat that all the time. Every time I talk about Chiron, I explain this. But sometimes the configurations involving Chiron, which are triggered by the arrival of the moon, are not so good. This time, there is a trine with the sun. And the sun is life, right? The sun represents our vital force. So, in harmony with Chiron, that represents health, triggered by the moon, it must indicate that if needed, we will find a solution, or there will be a great potential to make things better for ourselves or for someone else. In any case, Chiron represents health, but it's not necessarily health as such once more. There are here two false aspects. They are what we call squares, 90-degree angles or about. So it's a bit more here than 90 degrees, a bit less, than 90 degrees, and here it's a bit more than 90 degrees, but still. These are false aspects because the planets involved are not in signs forming what we call a square, because between Aquarius and Aries, air and fire, there is a sextile, not a square. And between Aries and Leo, there is a trine, which is a very positive aspect, not a square. But the computer has drawn two false squares. Full squares are actually sextiles disguised in squares. So we may consider them or see them as threatening us, because if we consider Chiron square Pluto, it indicates that we may feel quite destabilized and very uncomfortable health-wise due to some situation that we actually dread, we are afraid of. You know, we are scared of something that would be actually not true. So that will stem from our imagination or from whatever we can read about what we feel and the symptoms that we recognize and so on. And the same about Mercury, because Mercury represents our brain, so our brains is going to disguise itself in a negative type of thinking. Whereas if both aspects are considered as sextiles, they show a great potential to regenerate. So maybe to regenerate, we will need to confront ourselves to the reality of whatever we are going through on that particular day. The moon is going to leave the sign Aries quite quickly. It's at 26:49 here, which is almost 27. Actually, Chiron is at 27 degrees. So it leaves about 3 degrees to change sign, which represents 6 hours. So that means that around 2 in the afternoon, the moon will transit in Taurus, and the configurations are going to somehow become much less preoccupying. But still, on the 14th of August, and that will begin much earlier than 8 in the morning, you may feel uncomfortable. But rely on your willpower, which is represented by the sun. Rely on your life force and call on that life force to deal with what you feel or believe to be threatening. Because in actual fact, it will most probably be much more up here than anywhere else. You know what I mean? It's what you're going to think, to believe, that will make the difference. So think and believe in a very positive manner, and you will sort of diffuse the bomb, and you will be, you'll keep away from trouble, for sure. So the next transit I want to tell you about is when the moon transiting through Taurus forms an opposition with Vesta and the black moon. On the 15th of August at 5 in the afternoon, the moon creates that opposition with Vesta and the black moon. It also creates a square, which is a discordance with the sun, which also forms a discordance with Vesta and the black moon. And here we have two very beneficial aspects from Venus and Jupiter. So the opposition triggers the energy of Vesta and the black moon. What I said earlier on about the black moon representing a dark zone that could make you feel destabilized, uncomfortable, the black moon is something that you may know and don't want to express, hide for many personal reasons, or it represents something that you feel you have the intuition of, but you cannot prove it, and you don't want to actually step into it because it may lead to some troubles or conflicts or whatever that you don't want for yourself and neither for the other person if another person is involved. But on that day, the 15th of August, at around 5 p.m., maybe before as well, and a bit after, you will have to decide. And you will have to shed that light, which is quite dim, because the moon sheds light, but not as much as the sun, that's for sure. But enough to perceive and perhaps to have a more objective view of that dark zone. Plus, the sun, in discordance with the moon, forces you to do so. So that means even though you may not have the potential, the possibility to shed enough light on that dark zone to understand what it is and to deal with it, the sun is going to, from the side, because you see it's not right across, it's on the side, from the side, it's going to really shed that light. And perhaps make even that dark zone a lot brighter and a lot bigger, larger, more important than what you think it is. So it may be a shock somehow, but it is necessary for you, because if you actually accept the challenge, you will benefit from the energy of Venus and Jupiter. And that's pure luck. Love and opportunities are presented by Jupiter. The good things of life, success, all that is represented by Jupiter. So in harmony with the moon triggers the energy of Jupiter and Venus, which actually are forming a very nice aspect here with Vesta and the black moon. So the price to pay to obtain what you desire, what you want, what you deserve, and maybe to be able to benefit from an opportunity, but also from something that has to do with love, creativity, the arts perhaps, and anything that can really bring joy and happiness in your life. The price to pay is to shed light on that dark zone. Once you deal with it, you can benefit from it somehow. So you may not know yet, listening to me and watching this video, what to do and what it is, but you will soon enough discover what it is. Because if you don't, and if you don't want to see things as they are, when the moon reaches this conjunction, which will occur about 2 weeks later, you will know, and you will have to be rational about it. So, the next transit now. On the 16th of August, at 6 p.m., the moon reaches Uranus. What a beautiful chart. Have a look at this. 2 sextiles involving Saturn and Neptune, 1 trine with Pluto, another trine with Mars, and a false square with the Sun. So once again, this is a sextile disguised in a square. So it is a beneficial energy disguised in a not so beneficial one. Sort of to trick you, it's like a challenge or a quiz. Are you going to give the right answer to the questions that life is going to ask you then? If you give the right answer, then you can benefit from the energies of the other configurations. Because Mars is also in harmony with Pluto. Pluto is also in harmony with Saturn and Neptune. So that's really strong. Plus Mercury is in harmony with Mars, and therefore Mercury is also in harmony with Uranus and the moon. Very positive, indeed. And on that day, the 16th of August, be it around 6 p.m. or before, not that much before though, because you see it's here at 1 degree in Gemini, so it takes 2 hours for the moon to travel 1 degree. So that means that at 16 or 1600 hours, which is 4 p.m. Universal time, the moon is just entering in Gemini. And as soon as it does, it triggers the energy of Uranus, the energy of change. There is a change coming, which is a positive one. You have to prepare yourself for it. You have to. Because all the configurations will eventually disappear, especially Mars, because Mars is going to travel through Libra and then Scorpio. When it is in Scorpio, it's not going to form the same aspect with Uranus. So, benefit and really take advantage of what life may have to give you on that day and time. A bit afterwards is okay too, but if you make a decision and if you make the move even on that 16th of August around 6 p.m. Universal time, you, in my opinion, you won't regret it, ever. Now let's have a look at the following transit. We'll have to wait until the 19th of August at 10 in the evening for the next interesting transit of the moon when it reaches Jupiter in harmony with Vesta and the black moon. So that means that the light that you may have been able to shed on that light and a dark moon, yes, black moon, I mean, dark zone, sorry, will be a source of great satisfaction and also restoration of your own well-being and your inner harmony. Very interesting. But Mars is in discordance with this conjunction. The Venus is not very far. Venus is going to be reached on the following day, on the 20th of August. So Venus is going to be slightly triggered on the 19th of August, about 10 in the evening. And Venus is love, Venus is creativity, Venus is all the good things that life can provide are represented by Venus. So when it is not far from Jupiter, especially when it is in Cancer, because Cancer is the sign represented by the moon. So when the moon transits in Cancer, it is much stronger. The energy is much stronger. But Mars could trigger a tendency to react too quickly. So try and hold on your horses, as they say, so that you don't move too fast. Because that, if you do, you could risk to make a mistake. And that may trigger some sort of incident or conflict. Because you will be more vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable. You may not be sufficiently objective, and that may temper your potential to obtain that result from the trine involving Vesta and the black moon. You shed light on the dark zone. You understand it, you accept it, you share it perhaps as well with other people, but at least you understand it and you accept it. That's very important, because that will allow you to restore or preserve inner harmony and well-being. And that will be enhanced by Jupiter. And that means that Jupiter represents a reward for what you are going to accept to do. And it will be an effort, of course. It will require an effort from yourself. It is a real challenge, but don't do anything too hastily. Mars could trigger the need to speed up, thinking that the quicker you get there, the better. May not be. So take it easy, lift your foot from the accelerator, and rely also on the brakes in your existential vehicle. That will allow you to bring it, and your existential vehicle is no other than your life. So wherever you want to go, you need the acceleration, you need the brakes, and you need to learn how to use both simultaneously or one after the other in accordance with what your life path requires. If you do that, you will be rewarded for sure, even if it takes until the moon reaches Vesta, which will be about 12 days later. Anyway, after that, the moon is going to reach Venus. On the 20th of August, at 12, midday, the moon reaches Venus. And of course, recreates the trine I talked about when I analyzed the preceding transit of the moon reaching the position of Jupiter. Very positive. Venus is love, Venus is creativity, but it is here in opposition with Pluto, which is a false aspect once again. For the opposition to be true, Venus would need to be in Leo, which is not the case. So you should not rely too much on that energy of Pluto, meaning that because Pluto represents our ability to regenerate, you may feel stronger than you really are. And if there is something a little wrong in your love life, or health-wise as well, you may feel that you're strong enough to deal with it. But you could find out that what is going on is more than you can handle. And then, therefore, you'd be sort of disappointed with yourself, and of course also disappointed with the other person if another person is involved. And there is a false trine with Saturn, which of course is not a trine. And if it's not a trine, it is a square. And the square is a discordance. So that means also that if there is a problem to deal with in your love life, for example, don't rely too much on the fact that you represent for the other person some sort of security and some sort of ideal situation, because you may find that you're wrong. So try and be vigilant and very rational. Don't think for the other person as well, and don't decide for the other person. Chiron is in discordance, and this is a true aspect, it's not a hidden one. And because it is a true aspect, it puts the emphasis on health. But it may not be health as such, once again. And if there is something that you need to deal with love-wise, then Chiron is there to show that there is a potential illness in your love life. Or your creativity, the way you handle your artistic life, for example, could also be represented by this type of conjunction. Venus-Jupiter. But if there is something that needs to be treated, because the manner in which you deal with your situation is not right, so you feel slightly disconnected from reality somehow, and you perhaps believe too much and put too much emphasis on other people that may be able to help you, so you could rely too much on others, not enough on yourself, or not enough on others and too much on yourself. In any case, this conjunction, Venus-Jupiter, and with the moon on that day, 20th of August, around midday, indicates a tendency to exaggerate. So exaggeration is going to create a problem. If you can handle that, and if you focus on Vesta, which is in harmony with Venus and Jupiter, then you preserve harmony. That's all there is to it. And you understand what that dark zone is. It could be inside of you. It could be anywhere around. But the challenge is to understand what it is, you know, and once you've accepted it, to deal with it. Because after that, the moon is going to reach Mercury. And that's the planet that represents your intellect, which will be needed to deal with whatever happens during that time when the moon is in Leo, which will be the following day. Let's have a look at the chart. On the 21st of August, at 12 a.m., so very first hour of the day, the moon enters in Leo. Now, if you live west of the Greenwich Mean Time line, it will still be the 20th of August, sometime, you know, during the evening. So work it out for yourself. It's important, because when the moon begins to transit in Leo, it is, as you can see, the sign where the sun is. So that means that it's going to reach the sun about 2.5 days later on. So it will be actually on the first degree in Virgo. All right. Now, the opposition is going to trigger the energy of Pluto. Energy of regeneration. Right? We need to regenerate from time to time. Now, Pluto is in harmony with this conjunction here, although the three planets are retrograde. So it means that they're not as efficient, not as strong. Their energy is not as strong. But they're still around. And therefore, the link is still quite interesting to deal with and to analyze, because Saturn represents, in relation with Pluto, it represents your ability to question what and how you do it, while Neptune in harmony with Pluto allows you to question the way you imagine things and maybe the value of your dream or of the ideal situation that you'd like for yourself. If you're able to do that, you will most probably gain some insight and useful information to regenerate your situation and progress toward the goal that you want to reach. So, because the planets are retrograde, you may have to wait a bit longer than usual, but still the potential will be there, and it is for you to use it. Because the moon is going to create a very nice trine with both planets here, as you can see, this line here, and that indicates that when the moon enters in Leo, it triggers the potential that you have to see things as they really are. And seeing is represented by Leo, because Leo is represented by the sun, and the sun represents our, vision. So, take advantage of your own philosophy of life and also of your own inspiration, because you will have the potential to realize your dream. And this is what you need to focus on. I've already mentioned that when I talked about the arrival of the moon near or between even Saturn and Neptune earlier on. Now, there is a sextile with Uranus that proposes a change as well. So that means that you could be very original and interesting in the manner you will deal with the situation and with the ability that you have to realize that dream represented by Neptune. There is a false square with Chiron in Aries, indicating that you may feel that there is something wrong somewhere, but you would be wrong to feel that there is something wrong somewhere. Because that square is actually a trine. When the moon progresses in Leo, it will create a trine with Chiron in Aries. So the potential is very, very good. And even though you may feel that something is wrong somewhere, don't worry too much about it. Concentrate on what you want to achieve. And therefore, you will accentuate your potential to regenerate. And that is body, mind, and soul. Now, the next transit of the moon is when it reaches Mercury. Still the 25th of August, it's 6 p.m. Universal Time. And Mercury and the moon are opposite Pluto. So they both trigger the energy of Pluto, which is once again the energy of regeneration. Pluto is in harmony with Saturn and Neptune. Pluto is in harmony with Uranus as well. Pluto is still but slightly less in harmony with Mars. So the whole picture, a whole setup and all the configurations tend to go your way and to favor your ability to obtain the best. Mercury is in harmony with Mars. That's, deciding and doing. So you do as you say. That is very important. And what you will decide to do when you think about it and when you talk about it will allow you to regenerate something, some important area of your life. And that is really worth it. So talk about it, express yourself. Don't hesitate to show how much you are potentially motivated to learn, to discuss, to share, to analyze what you can do to obtain the best results. Because what you do on that particular day, what you decide on the 21st of August, may bring you some sort of reward, I would say, when the moon reaches Mars, which is very soon after. It's only, 5 days later. But before that, the moon is going to reach the sun. And that will, of course, make the new moon. The new moon will occur at 0 degree and 23 minutes in Virgo at 6 in the morning, 6:07 to be precise, on the 23rd of August. And this is the chart, or at least this is representing all the aspects that will involve the moon and the sun on that particular day and time. And of course, I will analyze them chronologically, from that 23rd of August until the full moon, which will actually occur in Pisces, in the next video that I'll put online for you. So I want to thank you very much once again for your interest in my work. I wish you a very pleasant summer if you're in the northern hemisphere of the earth, and a not so cold winter in the southern hemisphere. I'm in Perth at the moment, and I can tell you it's quite cold. Yeah, the winters are cold in Perth and summers are very hot, more than 40 degrees. Anyway, thank you, all the best, take care, bye for now.